So I'd like to just do a very quick debrief following your experience of the inner compass technique. So just to tie this back into some of the principles we've been discussing, there are several elements to this really powerful way to unconsciously and consciously embed your goals, your outcomes, and your intentions. So first of all, we do have some ideomotor stuff going on. The fact that you are holding the suggestion or you're holding this word in your hand with a piece of paper is initiating an ideomotor response. There's a thing I mentioned briefly called arm catalepsy, and that's where the muscles balance out on either side of the arm and it just kind of hangs in midair. And it's like you don't really have to consciously put much effort to hold it there, it just kind of does it itself. And this is actually one of the easiest pieces of trance phenomena to initiate, whether you're doing hypnosis with someone else or whether you're doing self-hypnosis. Because if you just hold the arm up there and focus on it, it does eventually balance out and just hold itself there without much in the way of conscious effort. So the act of holding the piece of paper with the word is actually producing arm catalepsy. So that's pretty cool. That's an ideomotor response. Then we also, generally with this technique, we have idiosensory and idioemotive. Usually when you go into trance and stare at your single words, then what often comes from that are pictures, movies, internal sounds, and you usually just explore a wide range of things inside your mind. But there's usually also emotional elements to it as well. Often this really does produce some quite strong feelings, particularly because you have nested this outcome within these greater, higher, and much more meaningful intentions. So often these have some really powerful meanings to us, so they generally are accompanied by some quite powerful feelings. So that would be an idioemotive response. And also at the end, when you did the integration part, and you allowed the hand to spookily move towards a part of your body, such that when it touched that part, all of a sudden, the change is fully and completely integrated into every single part of your being, then again, that would be an example of an ideomotor response, where the arm, because it's to do with movement in the physical body, the arm just simply starts to move almost by itself. There might be a slight amount of conscious effort that you invest into it, but mostly it just kind of flows towards you in this automatic and very unconscious way. So again, that would be an ideomotor response. So there's lots of stuff packaged into this technique. What we also are making use of is what I call a nested suggestion or a nested idea. Rather than just going for the goal itself, we have obviously nested that goal within intentions and also some really global and powerful, profound levels of meaning. And we've condensed and summarized this into a single word. And that single word now acts as a trigger for all of the stuff within that really nice, semantically dense package. So what do we do next? Do you just sit back and go, okay, I've done my piece of self-hypnosis, universe, provide? Well, you can try that if you want, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Of course, in my opinion, the universe will help you along, it will provide in some capacity, but you have to actually take some action, you have to do something, you have to invest in the process. Chances are, once you've gone through the inner compass technique, you will have found a renewed sense of desire, a renewed sense of motivation, because you have linked your outcome to your deep, powerful, unconscious whys. So there's a good chance that you'll open your eyes and go, yep, let's go for this. Or it might manifest later on after the process. But the key thing is to start to take action. Start off doing something, it can be small, it can be large, and start to progress towards the achievement of this outcome. So once you're doing that as well, I would recommend that while you're going through the process of taking action, you can, of course, if you like, repeat the entire process, the self-hypnosis process. That's absolutely up to you. You don't have to, but often when we repeat a process several times, then it strengthens it, but it also helps you investigate and explore different layers. There's only so much the mind can explore on the first visit, and often by looking at it a second, a third or a fourth time, then we start to find deeper and different elements to this entire experience. That just tends to be the way that creativity works. So feel free to repeat the process. You don't necessarily have to. You can just let it settle and leave it, but obviously take action. But you can repeat it at regular intervals if you like. I wouldn't necessarily do this one every day, but you could repeat it once a week if you like. That would be my recommendation. And I think one of the key things again to mention here is allow time for the whole thing to integrate. Remember, you're dealing with the unconscious here. You don't want to bully your unconscious into making changes now, even though you could make changes now, but you want to give it a bit of time. Working with the unconscious often happens at this background level, so you sometimes aren't aware of the changes at the conscious level when you come out of trance. Or you kind of are, but it is a little bit fuzzy. You don't quite have a linguistic description to attach to it. So just allow times to settle. Don't judge it straight away. Just leave it to settle and then leave it a week or two, take some action towards the outcome, towards the goal, and then after this week or two, just then give yourself feedback. What things are different, what things are the same, and then feed back this information into the next time that you do the process. You might have to make some changes, you might have to make some adjustments in the goal and the outcome, you might want to link it to something else. All kinds of stuff can really start to bubble up from the background to the surface through time as you work with this process. So, I hope you enjoyed this. I absolutely love this. It's generally my go-to thing whenever I've got some kind of outcome or some kind of direction that I would like to head in. So play about with this, have fun, explore, and when you're ready, head over to the next video and I'll give you just an additional little technique that you can add on to this. See you shortly.